File handling in C. Before we actually get into the topic file handling, it is very important that we understand what exactly is the meaning of the term stream. Once we know what is a stream, we then extend that same knowledge for opening a file, closing a file, reading from a file, writing to a file, and of course in different formats. So let us invest some time first on understanding what is a stream. Remember, whenever we are talking about computer understands only one language, that is binary language. And all the data in the computer, whether it is hard disk or whether it is processor or memory, everywhere the data is going to be always in binary format. So what is a stream now? We can say a stream, like anything else, is a continuous series of bits. I repeat, a stream in context of a computer is a continuous series of bits. So if I say I have a stream like this, imagine now a stream is like a pipe through which water flows, but here data would flow. One end of the pipe will be connected to the input-output device, and the other end of the pipe is, let us say, connected to the application. Now whenever the application wants to read data, it is going to read data from a stream, but the other end of the stream being connected to the IO device, the data is actually read from the input device here. And likewise, when the application wants to produce some output, that is write some output, it will write to the stream, and that data ultimately will get saved in the output device. So whenever we want to read or write, we should identify the proper stream. This is what we have to identify, and of course we have to identify what will be our IO device. Till now, in all the examples we have learned so far, where we used scanf, printf, getS, putS, getch, all this, the target was always monitor and keyboard. Input was taken from keyboard and output was generated on the monitor. But right now we are talking about file as our target from where we want to read the data or we want to write the data to. That means this file is supposed to be the file on the disk. But when I say file on the disk, what does it mean? File on the disk is again nothing but a continuous series of stream which has one starting point and one ending point. In between there will be consecutive bits. So our application now will have to manage that binary form which the file is identifying itself on the disk. So yes, first and most important thing, file is also a input-output device. File is nothing but a continuous memory location on a disk, permanent storage. Of course, the same file can be there in memory, but that will be a temporary storage. But this particular example, which we are going to discuss now in C, we are very specific that we are talking about a file on the disk. That is a permanent storage. Why we would need permanent storage? Many times while working with the application, we would like to pause the application or probably end the application and continue at later point of time. So whenever we are trying to end the application, whatever is the status of all the variables, all the data which the application is working with at that point of time, we would like to persist that data in a file and then terminate the application, so that later at any point of time we can read the data back from the file into the application and continue from where we stopped last time. So yes, file is the ideal location for storing the data so that permanently it can be saved even after switching off the computer and restarting it, that content will remain as it is. So before we actually perform read and write operations in a file or learn all file related operations, we should know that there are two types of streams. Character stream, which is also referred as text stream, and the other category is binary stream. So what is the basic difference between a character stream and a binary stream? The most common misunderstanding about character stream and binary stream is, people would say in character stream the data will be in the format of characters ABCD, whereas in binary stream the data is in the form of bits, zeros and ones. But that is not perfectly correct. There is something wrong in that. What is wrong about it? See, first and most important thing, a computer will never understand ABCD. What we see as A, what we see as B, what we see as D on the monitor is all graphics. It's all painting of characters. Every character actually has an ASCII value. So it is in the ASCII value a computer is going to work with, but at the time of painting it will choose an appropriate font and then paint it as per the instructions in the font on the screen. What I mean is, in our Windows folder we are going to have a fonts folder. In that fonts folder only we will have all the different fonts available. Arial font, Helvetica font, Times New Roman font, Calibri font, all these are different fonts. There are many fonts available. Now on a text editor we will always select a particular font and then let us say try to open a file. What is that the file actually will contain? The file will contain the bits, zeros and ones. But when we open that file, Notepad or any other similar text editor is ultimately going to display characters on the screen. The painting of the characters is purely as per the font which is selected for displaying of characters. So ultimately what I am actually trying to say is, even if you have a text stream, the data is ultimately in binary format only. On the hard disk we cannot expect A to be punched. On the hard disk we cannot expect B to be punched. Characters cannot be punched on the hard disk. It's all binary data only which the hard disk can store. So what is happening here? Say for example my name Sandeep. If my name Sandeep has to be stored in file, what will be stored? The binary form of the ASCII value of S will be stored. Continuation, the binary form of the ASCII value of A will be stored. In continuation again, the binary form of the ASCII value of N. So for every character we have an ASCII value. That ASCII value in binary format will be stored in a file. So if Sandeep in text format has to be stored in a file, it is actually going to store a continuous stream of bits like this in a file. Continuous it will be there. Then why are we calling this as text stream? We will call this as text stream for the reason that in this file 1 unit of data is always going to be, let us say, 1 byte. 1 byte, 1 character, 1 byte, 1 character, 1 byte, 1 character, 1 byte, 1 character, 1 byte, 1 character. So the format is text, but data is in which format? Binary. So can we say that a text stream is a binary stream in which 1 unit of data is 1 character. When I say 1 unit, it is 1 byte per character, assuming that the data is stored in ASCII format. ASCII format, 1 byte is 1 character. Though C does not support, there are other types of encodings which are available. For example, Unicode encoding is there, UTF-7 is there, UTF-16 is there, and so many more encodings are there. In each of the type encoding, the size of the character is going to vary. For example, in Unicode, the size of character will be 2 bytes. So when I say we are using Unicode encoding while saving the file, for every character it is going to take 2 bytes of data. And at the time of reading also we should know that the data was saved in Unicode encoding, so that 2 consecutive bytes can be read as 1 character. So generally when we are working with file, it is very important that we should know what is the type of encoding we are trying to make use of. Though in C, at least the built-in facility is only for ASCII character set. That means it only supports 1 byte per character. So we don't have to worry about multiple bytes per character here. So here we always know that from a text stream, the data should be read in 1 byte and that 1 byte should be converted to character and displayed on the screen. So I repeat this point once again. A text stream is a special case of binary stream in which one unit of data is one character. Remember, stream by itself does not have any kind of separator. It is we who at the time of reading will have to read first 8 bytes, treat that as character. Then continuously read next 8 bytes and treat that as character. Then continuously read as next 8 bytes and one more character. That means this whole thing will be consecutive one after the other. Similarly, when we talk about binary stream, now what is a binary stream? Any stream in which the data can be in any format. I can store a byte, that would be in 1 byte format. But if I am storing a short, let us say this is 16 bits, 2 bytes. If I am storing an integer, it will be 4 consecutive bits. 4 consecutive bytes, 32 bits. Float, again binary format. Byte, character, like that. Of course, in .NET we do not have byte. So let us say this is also something like character only. And the character is 1 byte here. So if I am storing data such that in a file we can have any kind of data, not just necessarily characters, then such a stream is referred as binary stream. Now when we are saving data in binary stream, what is very important is the order in which we are writing, in the same order we are actually supposed to read. Imagine here on display it is separate, but actually speaking on the disk when it is in a file it will be all continuous. So unless you know that at the time of writing you have written first 2 bytes as short, you would not be able to read those 2 bytes and convert them to short and use it in the programming. Unless you know that next 4 bytes are integer, you cannot make use of that data. You cannot do 2 bytes of short, 4 bytes of integer as short. You cannot read like that. What we write, we would not get it back. So in a binary stream, first, what is a binary stream? A binary stream is a continuous series of bits where data of any type can be stored. It can be of type character, it can be of type integer, short, float, double, anything can be stored, or it can be consecutive structure data also. So based on what is that we have stored, in that format only we are supposed to read it back, interpret back. Why so? I told you earlier also, the stream by itself does not contain any kind of delimiters. It is we who should know where the unit of data ends and where the next unit of data begins. So unless you know the format of the file, you cannot read the file content in binary file. So now take for example BMP. Is it a binary file or text file? BMP is always going to be a binary file, and because it is binary file we cannot open that in Notepad. Rather we can open BMP file also in Notepad. But what will Notepad try to do? Notepad will assume that the content of a BMP is all characters, so it will read consecutive 8 bits and it will try to convert them to character and display on the screen. And thus it may happen that the image will not appear, but instead all junk characters are going to appear when we open a BMP in Notepad. But if you are opening a text file in Notepad, it will properly display all the text. Why? Because the text file has fixed unit of data, that is 1 byte per character, and Notepad is pre-programmed to read 1 byte, display that as character, read next byte, display that as character. So it is very simple. Many people will say text files are not safe but binary files are safe. Why? Text file, the format is fixed, 1 byte per character. So anybody can actually write an application to read 1 byte at a time, convert them to a character format and display. But binary files are considered to be safe. Why? Unless we know how the data is split into different units, we would not be able to read the data properly. So remember, what is a stream? Stream is a continuous series of bits. One end of the stream is always connected to an input output device, which in our case is a file. Other end of the stream is connected to the application. Application is always going to write to the stream and read from the stream. That means it is always writing some bits and always reading some bits. But ultimately these bits are going to be saved here or read from here. And this is a file. This can be a keyboard monitor. This can be a socket on the network. It can be any kind of input output device. Of course, targeting in this chapter only for file. And finally, two types of stream: character stream, binary stream. Binary stream is the place where we have to write data in binary form and any type of data can be stored. Whereas text stream, we store only one type of data, that is text, characters, series of characters. In case of text stream, at the time of reading we don't have any ambiguity, 1 byte per character. But in case of binary stream, unless we know the format in which it was stored, we would not be able to read the data and properly interpret in the application, because it's all continuous which is there in the file. So with this knowledge of stream, we would in the next chapter try to understand how to open a file, how to close a file, and of course most important, write to a file and read from a file. Thank you.